Good morning. I am going to give you a deep dive into state of the art of a content creating factory circa 1996. I was looking through one of the big projects, the big project that I was working on in 1996 at this period was the Homebuyer College, which I mentioned. And that was a series of newsletter reports that we could send as follow-up to people who were inquiring about buying homes. Remember the guide to Halton Hills or Toronto and beyond? We would be generating all these buyer leads. And then every 2 weeks, when the new MLS catalog came out, we would send them physical newsletter updates of all of the new listings that came on, along with an insert of a newsletter. And I called this collection the Homebuyer College. It was essentially like a correspondence course. And as I was looking at the looking back, and it's hard to get into the mindset that things didn't exist back in 1996. Like the only way that you could communicate with people was either, I looked at the options that we had to get in front of people. You could use direct mail. You could use print in newspapers or magazines or home magazines. You could call them on the phone, or you could get together with them in person. And radio and TV, that was out of the question for a small business. Like nobody was doing that at the time because it was so cost prohibitive. But I mentioned creating IP, and this idea of the Homebuyer College was the first sort of collection of IP that I was able to create, and we still use it to this day. I mean, a lot of these things. So I was looking here that I had a complete process, a system for creating these 5, 6, 8 page reports. And of course, the most important part of it was, number one, start with the headline. And so we would come up with compelling headlines, and that's where I would get cues from Cosmo magazine and women's home magazines and the National Enquirer, all these things. Eben Pagan and I were just headline hunters at all times, looking for things. It was kind of made us giddy to get the Cosmo magazine, and then we would just brainstorm. It was like improv theater for marketing nerds. We get the thing, and then we would just trade off making up headlines. And so part of them, I remember like the Homebuyer College headlines, some of them were, how much it really costs to buy a bigger home, or how to buy a home with 0 down payment, even if you can afford to pay cash. All these things were coming up with the compelling headline of understanding what people would want. And for me, that's the exciting part. And that's 80% of the success of anything is the headline. But once you got the headline of this, then step 2 was to think of 8 to 10 subheads or major points that would give you the solution in point form. So we're not just starting to write the headline and then start to just from beginning to end write the whole report. We were writing just 8 to 10 things. I always think about if you just had to express this in short form, well, you got to know about this, 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 and this. And when you get those 8 kind of big pieces there, then step 3 was to, underneath those subheads, write 3 to 5 talking points or questions or comments that come to mind underneath each of those 8 things. And then we just proceed down the list of the subheads. So now you've got each of those subheads with 3 kind of talking points underneath it, and then go back to the subheads. And then all you have to do is just kind of expand on each of those 3. It's kind of like if you think about the subhead, you think about the three things as like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3 within the underneath that subhead, and then you just go back on and create and fill it out. Then when it was done, step 5 was to write the lead paragraph and the closing paragraph. So you would lead into it, and then you would lead out of it. And then at the end, the report should be 5 to 8 pages long and be a work of art. And I say that because remember I talked about the idea of design is presenting things in a way that makes it easy to read, bolded, underlined, italicized for emphasis, marked up, or whatever the thing with some illustration on it. It should be interesting to read, and people could get the whole point by reading the subheads. And so I look at that system that's really the same model that we follow now. 30 years later, I think about how quick and easy it is to create this kind of content. Like literally, you could brainstorm. I've done this. We just recently had a situation where we wrote, short book, like 16-page little PDF book about a topic called smells that sell. And we did another one on the air-fried carnivore. And so you can come up with ideas, and then now with Claude or ChatGPT or any of the AI things, you just say, hey, write me a 16-page booklet about this, about smells that sell. And it'll go and research, find out the things, create it all, and it happens instantly. We would either have to create this content, or my favorite way to do it would be to find an expert and just interview them for, we would do a 20-minute interview with an expert and ask them those questions. Then we could take that tape recording that we had of the conversation and get it transcribed. And at that time, it cost $1 per minute of recorded content to get that transcribed. And I had to physically send the tape to someone who would then listen, like as a court reporter type thing, type in the thing, and you'd get back a Word doc with the actual transcript and edit that in. And I got to where, I would be able to come up with the headlines, and then I had a writer that I could outsource the actual creation with. I would come up with the headline, interview the expert, and then from the transcript onto the thing, that was all outsourced with somebody else. And you look at the cost of it to create one of those things was an investment in both my time to do that, then getting the transcript for $1 per minute. So let's say $30 for a 30-minute interview. And then I paid a writer $100 to create these, to turn it into these finished reports. So a $2,400 investment to create 24 of these Homebuyer College newsletters. And that could be done by lunchtime today with AI. We realize what a gift we have of being able to create this content. And I think about what type of content you can create, though, I think it falls into two categories. It's either a book report, where you're just taking a topic and compiling all the known information about something, or drawing from what's already known and just conveying the information about the topic, which is perfect for AI. But there's a different type of report that I call a field report. And that is something with a unique approach to something, somebody who has something that's different than what is populating the large language models, something that you, as an expert, probably have that differentiates you from what something AI could create. And that's where we really need to focus, is creating the content that is your own unique perspective on something. But AI, man, as a tool for creating this, it would have been handy in 1996. And the things that we have now available as distribution, you think about all the ways that you can get information out to people. It's a whole different world. It's a whole different world in 2026 compared to 1996. But our desire for information and your ability to create it is really that's the durable advantage that you'll be able to have.